Hello and welcome to the Halftime Oranges. My name is Ben and I'm joined here with Shift.
Hello, everyone.
Hi. So just quickly before we get started, this is going to be our 2021-22 Premier League table prediction. A little bit about myself. I'm a Stoke City fan, a long time Stoke City fan. I've been to many games and had season tickets for a few seasons as well. So yeah, that's pretty much my knowledge of football over. But I do have a wider interest in football as well, so I do check all the other leagues and stuff. So that's why we're doing this Premier League table today. And Shift, what about you?
I am a FC Porto fan. Unfortunately, I don't live in Portugal anymore, so I can't go see him, which it's sad. But
It is sad.
yeah, I've been to many home games as well. I haven't really traveled that much to away games. And I mean, apart from the Portuguese league, I watched the Championship and the Premier League. That's about it.
Lovely. So, without keeping everyone waiting, let's start our Premier League table predictions from the bottom. That's where everyone should start, isn't it? Really, from the bottom.
I can't stop. I can't start at the top.
So let's sort out our relegation places. So I'm going to go first, and in 20th place for the Premier League 21-22 season, I have selected Watford.
Oh my word!
I know. So obviously, just promoted. I'm not giving them a whole lot of confidence considering they did so well in the Championship last season. I did have a quick look at their pre-season, which wasn't the most encouraging. They lost 3-1 to Brentford, who are a team also promoted. They drew with Stevenage, and they lost 3-1 to Palace as well, which are teams that I kind of, as you'll see, maybe shortly, are like teams I would expect them to be around in the table, and they sort of, in my opinion, have to beat those teams in order to stay up, and I don't think they will, as pre-season has shown us, so we'll see how it goes, but Watford dead last for me. How about you?
Well, funny enough, I also have Watford at the bottom.
They're gone,
yeah,
mate.
like they're just gone. I mean, like you said, not the most encouraging preseason games. Last season, I think that top scorer had like 13 goals, and I don't think they have that main man that will carry them and score the goals for them.
Not
in those
Deeney.
tight games.
You don't expect Big Deeney to hit 30 goals a season.
Big Deeney, I think, unfortunately, he's just past it now. I think his prime's gone.
And if I'm honest, another reason they're last, look at the state of that sponsor on their kit. What an absolute disaster. I genuinely feel sorry. The sponsor's bigger than your hopes for the season, so
Oh my
onwards
god.
we go to
Didn't
19th
have
place.
to do
Sorry,
it like
Watford. Here we go, getting Watford fans hating us already. So in 19th place for the season, another promoted team for me, Norwich.
Oh,
So I've chosen Norwich
Interesting.
pretty much because their pre-season was decent, right? I think they won like 3 out of 4 of their pre-season games or something like that. 3 of them against lower league teams, so you'd expect them to. And the only game they had against the similar level in terms of Newcastle, they lost 3-0, which is one of their most recent ones. And again, I haven't placed Newcastle too high, as you'll see later in the video. So I kind of expect them to be a bit closer than that, so a 3-0 hammering is not that great in terms of Norwich's sort of goal for the season, so I really haven't rated them that highly, so 19th place for me.
wow. I was toying with the idea of having Norwich in 19th. I went with Brentford.
Okay.
Newly promoted. Is this their first time in the Premier League?
I believe so.
Well, I mean, they have Vic Tony scoring the goals for them. I don't know if he'll be able to have the same form going to the Premier League. I think it will be a different beast for him and for the rest of the squad. So I think they'll be going straight back down.
Very interesting. Okay, so moving on to 18th place. So this is potentially my most controversial one.
Oh.
And I have chosen Burnley, right? So they've been holding on for the last few seasons. I think that's probably the best way to put it. Sean Dyche manages to get them. I mean, defensively they're pretty sound generally. I think they did lose 19 games last season, to be fair. So maybe not that sound after all. But no, I've got them to go down. I think they've held on enough, and I don't think they've made the signings that are going to keep them in the league. And I think there's a lot of competition in the league now, so I think they're going to struggle. Yeah, that's pretty much all I've got to say about it. Sorry, Sean. Yeah, you gone?
Yeah, they're gone. Well, I mean, I can see your point about Burnley. I think they'll just survive because I think Sean Dyche is a genius. I have Southampton in 18th,
Ooh.
going down, I think.
Mm.
I don't think they did very well last season. I mean, now Danny Ings is gone as well.
Yeah.
And looks like they're also looking to sell Vestergaard. And I don't think they signed, they signed a few players. I mean, they signed Walcott. I don't think he'll be, I don't think he'll be their savior.
No.
They signed Adam Armstrong as well, who did pretty well in the championship, to be fair. But
Yeah.
I think they'll struggle defensively, and I think they'll be going down this season.
Okay. Interestingly, moving on to 17th. Southampton are 17th for me. So we both don't think they're going to have a great season. I think letting go of your key players is okay if you're going to get people in to step up your game. But I think the competition keeps increasing every single year in the Premier League, and
Definitely.
points are going to be harder to come by. So I think, honestly, they're going to really struggle without some of those key players. Ings, I think he's like 29 or something, so he's obviously not past it, but he's I don't know. I think he was important for Southampton, and I don't really think I don't know who they're going to attract in the last sort of couple of weeks of the transfer window or whatever to replace him, really. Especially not proven Premier League strikers. So that'll be interesting. But for now, I think Southampton 17th.
Well, for me in 17th, I have Norwich. I think they learned their lesson from the last time they were in the Premier League. Obviously, they lost Buendia, who was a huge player for them. But they've signed Rashika and I think Billy Gilmore has come on loan from Chelsea. I think they'll if they can keep hold of Cantwell, I think they'll have just enough to survive. Again, the bottom three and 17th, 16th, I think will be very close.
Yeah, agreed. So moving on to 16th position, I've gone for Brighton. Now, for me, again, as you just said, I think it's going to be really close down there. I think survival this season could literally come down to a matter of points, and I don't know what the fixture list looks like, but if these teams are playing each other at the end of the season, it could get very, very interesting about who stays up. So I think Brighton are going to have a tough season as they did last season, but I think they're just going to have enough to stay up and finish above the relegation zone and Southampton.
Well, for me, I have Crystal Palace. I mean, I don't know. Eze is injured, I think, for pretty much the whole season. They still have Zaha, who I think will be the reason why they stay up, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not usually convinced by Patrick Vieira as a manager. And I mean, that's it. I look at the squad. I'm not really impressed. They have made some decent signings, like Anderson from, I think that's how you say his name, from Lyon. But
right.
I don't know if he'll be enough to, get them to a higher place. But they'll survive, which, is good for them.
Good. So moving on to 15th place, I've gone for Newcastle. Whilst I don't know too much about the squad for Newcastle, I saw that Dwight Gale had a couple of goals against Norwich in pre-season, I believe. I think they've got enough to stay up semi-comfortably. I think they might have a rough start to the season, as they usually do, but I think they picked up at the end of last season, so I think they could do something similar this season. Not really much else to say on it, so yeah, 15th place for Newcastle.
Very well. Well, 15th for me is Burnley. I mean, like I said, I really rate Sean Dyche. And I think they had their last 2 months of last season, I think, was what almost killed them. I mean, they were safe. Comfortably, they were safe. But I think this year will be better for them and they'll finish 15th.
Good. So moving on to 14th place, I've gone for Crystal Palace. As you said about Eze with the injury, that's such a setback for them.
Mm-hmm.
The rest of the squad is it's a decent squad. I think it's a Premier League squad, which is the reason I think they're going to stay up. And obviously, if they hold on to Zaha again, I think he's going to be their main man for the season, as usual. But the combo link between Eze and Zaha was really quite exciting to watch. So it's a shame that that's not going to be the case for at least the majority of the season. But yeah, I think they'll finish comfortably in 14th.
Very well. Well, 14th for me. 14th for me, I have Brighton. I think everyone likes the way Brighton play football. What they are missing is a striker, which they haven't fixed yet. They have been linked to a few strikers, like the Celtic boy, Edward, who is, I think, really good. It depends if they get him in. I think they'll finish 14th. If not, then, I wouldn't be surprised if they finish lower than this. Because they are missing a striker and someone that just scored the goal for them.
Yeah, that's a good point. Moving on to 13th, probably the strangest one out of my list, and it's a bit of a guess, but Brentford. So I think it's rare for the three teams to come up to go straight back down. There's usually one that has a little bit of a streak, and I think for Brentford, we've got fans back in the ground. They've got a new stadium, a really nice little stadium as well. I think it's going to be really exciting. I remember when Stoke went up in 2008. It was like an adrenaline rush basically for the fans. It's like, I feel like that's the reason we stayed up that season, is because we had that 12th man. It's the fans were so behind it, and it was such an exciting time for the team. And I think Brentford are going to experience something different because it's new for them, new stadium, and as I said, the fans are back. So I think if Ivan Toney manages to carry his form over from the Championship to the Premier League, I think they'll have no problem. And it's definitely not because I've got him in my fantasy team, and I'm hoping for the best. So yeah, that's my 13th, is Brentford.
Very well. Well, for me, 13th, I have Newcastle. I think, Steve Bruce, he just can't be killed. I don't think. And their squad, I'm looking at it, it's pretty much stayed the same. And last season they finished 12th. If they can get Joe Willock back, which seems to be a rumor going about, that they are about to sign him.
Okay.
I think, yeah, and alongside Saint Maximin, I think they'll be mid-table and do fine, as fine as Steve Bruce can do, I guess.
Yeah, it's a Steve Bruce finish, a comfortable Premier League, not very exciting season. Yeah, fair enough. So moving on to 12th, this one again is probably going to be a little bit controversial, but I think because of the recent movement with players, Aston Villa, 12th place for me. Losing Grealish, I think, is quite a big blow. Of course, 100 million is a nice number to see in your bank account, although some of that's gone out already, obviously, as we know, on Ings and Buendia and so on, which I think are good signings. But for me, Grealish was that next level up from those players. And I think losing that creativity and flair in the team is unfortunate. I think they'll be a comfortable 12. I don't think there's going to be any talk about relegation at all for Villa, but I think they're going to have an average season for what they would probably expect, and I think 12th place finish is what I'm going for there. Yeah.
All right. Well, 12th for me, I have Wolves. Pretty sure Jimenez is back. Pretty sure he's played in preseason matches.
Against Stoke. Yep.
Oh, well. They sacked Nuno, which I think was a needed change. And they have Trincão as well on loan, who I rate as a watcher of the Portuguese league back when he played for Braga. Obviously, they lost Patricio. They got Jose Sá. He's a good keeper. I think he did pretty well for Olympiacos. I think, they'll be back to mid-table. I don't think they'll struggle as much as they did last season when they didn't have Jimenez. So, 12th.
Okay, so 11th place for me is West Ham. So last season, as most of you will probably know, they finished 6th, which was a really strong season for West Ham. Although a bit of a shock, and I don't think they're going to be able to replicate that again. So I think they're going to be sort of a comfortable, solid mid-table. Is Moyes still in charge there, I believe?
West Ham, yes.
Yeah, and they've got Antonio, of course, who's a quality forward as long as he's fit for the season. I think they'll be comfortable. Nothing more to say. I think they're very much a mid-table Premier League team, but wish them all the best. But 11th place for me.
Well, 11th for me. I have Everton. I think I don't know. They've had so many. I think people would rate as good transfer windows, and yet they still haven't really moved from mid-table. They sacked Ancelotti. He went back to Real Madrid. They got Rafa Benitez in. I think he's best as a manager.
Yeah.
Their signings, they haven't really been that inspiring either. Demari Gray, Townsend. I don't know. They'll finish 11th, which probably isn't what Everton fans want after the money they have spent the last few years.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, I think they'll stay around mid-table.
Okay. 10th place for me, I've gone for the Wolverhampton Wanderers. I think everyone that watches football will agree they had a really underwhelming season last season, finishing in 13th, with the sort of squad depth and money they've put into the team as well. I think they would hope that they would finish higher, so a strong mid-table finish for me is where I'm placing them. I think with Jimenez coming back, I think hopefully he's fully fit, although I think he was still wearing a headband when he played Stoke in pre-season. But he got his goal. I think he's a quality striker, and I think he's going to be amongst it in the season, all being well for his fitness. But yeah, mid-table, 10th place for me.
Well, this one I really struggle with. I think 10th, I went with West Ham. I think, like you said, they had a fantastic season last season. I don't think they'll be able to replicate that this year, especially with Europa. I think they're playing, yeah. I don't know if their squad depth will be enough for, where is it? 4 competitions now with 2 cups, the league and
That's
Europa.
A good point.
Yeah,
that's a good point.
They got Areola, who is a very good keeper, but don't know. The rest of the squad they haven't really improved on. They haven't really done anything with it. But 10th, that's still decent, to be fair.
Yeah, very much so. So moving into the top half of the table then, 9th place for me is Everton. Similar point to what Shiv said, I think the manager is slightly past it now, so I don't think the football's going to be too exciting, although some of the players like Richarlison and Calvert-Lewin I can imagine would have good seasons. Not sure about the Sigurdsson situation, to be fair. Not sure what's going on there. So I've always rated Sigurdsson. He's definitely slowed down, but I have no idea what their situation is going to be. So yeah, we'll wait and see what happens there. But 9th place finish for Everton.
Very well. Well, 9th for me, I have Leeds. I think that's the same spot they finished last season as well.
Yep.
I think they'll just carry on. Their squad hasn't really changed much either. I think with fans back in the grounds now, I think maybe they might push for a higher position. But for now, I see them in 9th.
Yeah, good shout. 8th place for me. Sorry, Arsenal fans. It's another disappointing season for you. Honestly, Ben White, was it £40 million? 50 million. 50 million. I mean, good defender. I don't think anyone's going to deny that. But 50 million. The money could have been spent elsewhere. Your biggest issue last season, I think you were like 3rd place for defensive. So why you've spent 50 million upgrading your defence when it was actually pretty decent last season is beyond me. I don't watch Arsenal weekly, so my opinion could be completely off. But I think the money could have been invested in a more attacking player, or someone to break through from the midfield to attacking positions. But it hasn't happened as far as I know, so I think you're going to finish 8th.
Well, for me, at 8th, I have their North London rivals. I have Tottenham.
Oh dear.
They sacked Mourinho. They got Nuno in. I'll be honest. I know he did very well for Wolves. I don't really rate him as a top manager. They got a center back from Italy, Christian Romero in, which defense last season kind of let them down. Will it be enough to fix their defense? I'm not sure. I don't know if they'll keep hold of Harry Kane as well, and if they don't, then I see him struggling to get in that top 6, top 7. So 8th for me.
Okay, moving up the board then to 7th place, I've gone for Leeds. And the reason I've put Leeds probably this high, and a lot of people, this is probably the shock of the season, as the rest of the teams are more predictable, I guess. I think with coming back into the Premier League, and obviously because of COVID, the fans haven't been able to get in the ground. Leeds have an absolutely incredible fan base. I think most of us know that. So that ground is going to be completely packed, all being well with future COVID restrictions and so on. And I think the excitement, because it's such a huge club, I think they're going to carry through, and I think they've got some quality players. And as you said, I don't think they've improved massively into the squad, but I think the squad is pretty exciting to watch as it is, so it'll be really interesting to see where Bielsa takes them this season.
Very well. Well, 7th for me, I have Aston Villa, which, might be a kind of a dumb prediction considering who they just lost, their best player, their captain, Jack Grealish, off to City. But I think they did a smart thing of not trying to, find a player that will replace him. Instead, they went for various players so they can maybe replace the hole is left and not exactly the player himself. I don't know if you get what I'm saying there.
Yeah.
But they went for Buendia, they went for Leon Bailey as well. Ings, of course, is more of a striker, but still they might even go two up front. Who knows? Atkins and Ings. I think the owners they're doing their best to try and push Villa to those European places, and I think this season they might just get it in 7th.
Very interesting. So 6th place for me, I've gone for Tottenham Hotspur. Got to be honest, I don't know much about the movements transfer-wise for this season, so I could be well off, but I think generally they are a solid team and they'll have a solid season, but it's not going to be the most exciting one for the fans. I mean, 6th place for most teams would be great, but for Tottenham, they obviously aim higher each season. Kane obviously not turning up to training and all that kind of stuff. We don't know the exact reason for those things yet, but we'll see what happens in the rest of the transfer window. But assuming they keep, Son and Kane, I think they'll be up there always because they're such a fantastic partnership.
Well, very well. Well, for me, 6th, again, their rivals from London. I have Arsenal. I think in the second half of the season, they actually did really well. They were like 3rd in some kind of, form table or something like that. I think they'll be able to carry on. Obviously, they spent 50 million on Ben White. I mean, like you said, they probably should have spent the money on, their midfield, which I think is their weakest point. Maybe a right back as well, because Bellerin, Cedric Suarez, I don't think those are, they don't have the quality for a club like Arsenal, I don't think. But again, Ben White, good centre back. They needed a good centre back after David Luiz left. They also got Lokomba, a midfielder. I think he's not 19 or something, 20. So I don't think he'll have a major impact this season. So I mean, and that's why I don't see him breaking into top 4 or fighting for top 4. I have him in 6th because they haven't really upgraded on the midfield. But I think they'll be able to carry on from last season's form or the second half of the season and fight for 6th. And also they have no Europa League, which means they can just concentrate on the league.
Yeah, that is a very good point. So moving up to 5th place then, this is our Europa League spot for the season. I think Leicester, I absolutely rate Leicester so highly, and I think the fans have had an incredible time over the last few years. Obviously winning the league a few years back now, and some of your players and some of the football you've played is absolutely fantastic. And Brendan Rodgers, I think, is an absolutely top quality manager, and you got players like Iheanacho, and assuming he's going to be in his form through the season, I think you'll have no place finishing in the top 5, maybe even higher. But I think for my initial prediction, it's going to be a 5th place finish for Leicester.
Well then, 5th, I also have Leicester. I mean, pretty much what you said, is what I had in mind as well. I rate Brendan Rodgers a lot. I think their squad is really good. I think unfortunately they will fight for top 4 and they'll just miss it again. I'm sure fans will mind too much. I think last season their squad was maybe a bit thin with injuries and the sort. I think they got they got a few players in as squad depth. They got Daka, who is a very good striker.
Mm.
So yeah, I think they'll finish fifth. I think they won't have enough to displace the big boys at the top four, unfortunately.
Yes, so yeah, moving on to the big boys then. Champions League spots as well. In fourth place for me is Liverpool. And whilst I do like Liverpool's squad, I think the competition above this season, as you'll see shortly, with my prediction, I think it's very high now, and I'm not sure what the state of the Robertson injury was from the other day, but that will be a massive loss for the team if he's out for any portion of the season, because he's a quality left back, and secondly, he's such an attacking threat as well. He gets a bunch of assists, so losing him I think will affect their whole attacking outlook for the season, but I just don't know if they're going to be able to keep up, and I'm not sure if they've improved the squad enough to compete with the spending from the other three big clubs I've chosen in my 1, 2 and 3 spots.
Very well. Well, top four for me was pretty much a gamble, if I'm honest. In fourth, I have Manchester United. They got Sancho in. I think they finally fixed their right winger problem they've been having for years with him. And I think Varane is also pretty much confirmed, which are two huge signings. But again, they'll be separated by, 1-2 points. It can go either way, if I'm honest. But I think Liverpool, Chelsea, and City just have better managers than Solskjaer. So I think they'll be their downfall, if I'm honest, and that's why they'll finish fourth for me.
Okay. So I agree with a lot of things you just said, that the whole points thing this season, I think it's going to be one of the closest seasons that we've seen in a very long time in terms of the top few positions in the last few seasons. Obviously Liverpool a couple of seasons ago won by a big stretch. Last season it was 12 points with Man City ahead of United, and I think this season we could be literally looking at 3 to 5 points between first and fourth, so I think it's going to be very, very tight up top. So third place for me is Manchester United. I think they've made some great additions, as you just said, with Sancho and right wing, and the combo with Slabhead and Varane at the back I think is going to be solid for the season, if I'm honest. And it's been nice to see. I mean, pre-season beating Everton 4-0 is very, very promising, and you've got Bruno Fernandes looking like he's in top form already, which is great to see before the season, and the whole squad just looks to be flowing so much better than it has. And as well, obviously none of you know because this is a new channel, but I've never really rated Solskjaer that highly at all. But you know what, fair play, the signings look interesting, the team looks like it's playing well, so if he proves me wrong, he proves me wrong. Third place for Manchester United.
Very well said. Well, third for me, I have Liverpool. Again, this is pretty much the same squad that won the Premier League a few seasons ago. Obviously, last season they lost Van Dijk, a huge blow for them. Also, they had Joe Gomez. I think pretty much all defense just out for the whole season, which is why they struggled. They brought in Konate as a centre back, who I think is very highly rated. I'll be honest, I've never seen him play, so I don't know. But I think with Van Dijk back, I think they might do well. Might do better than last season. But still, third. I think they'll just finish just behind the champions.
Of course, third place sounds great, but I think for Liverpool, they're going to be, going into the season wanting to win the league. So that's going to be, third place for you and fourth place for me. I'm not sure they're going to be too happy with that, but we'll see what the season holds. So moving on to second, and obviously, as some of the smart ones of you will know, there's only one team left after that. So second place for me is Chelsea. I think Chelsea will sneak second as long as they get the Lukaku transfer over the line before the window closes, which I'm sure they will. Although it's not the best bit of business, is it, selling someone for like 30 million and then buying them back a few years later for 100 million? But what can you do? Abramovich has got some, if that's his name, he's got some money to throw at the club. So there we go. I think Lukaku would be a great addition to the Chelsea squad as it is now. I think Havertz is finding some form. And he's looking like an absolutely quality player in the Premier League. Timo Werner, God knows what's going to happen with Timo Werner in the season. I've seen a few interviews of him, and he seems like a really nice, genuine guy. So I hope that his form picks up and he has a much better season than last season. So yeah, second place for me is Chelsea.
Well, second place for me, I also have Chelsea. I mean, they won the Champions League. Obviously, the league is different from a knockout tournament. I mean, but like you said, looks like they're getting Lukaku. If you had to point out a flaw in their squad last season, you probably point at Werner and the whole striker position. I think he is very good at just opening the spaces up for other players, and Lukaku will just feast on goals if that's the case. And yeah, I think Werner and Lukaku up front will be a very good partnership, and and their squad looks pretty much the same as last season. I don't know if they're getting another centre back in. They are already very good defensively. If they get another centre back, probably get even better. And who knows, maybe even sneak in as champions. But for now, looking at the squad now with Lukaku coming in, I have him in second.
Very, very interesting. So of course that leaves the first place for me as Manchester City. And whilst they've spent very well, I'm not sure if he's going to even get the playtime he probably deserves. But Jack Grealish, obviously, for 100 million. I'm hoping to see him play regularly, but it's such a tough squad to get into, especially with the midfield. The big issue I see for Man City this season is the striker. And as we saw the other day in the Community Cup, Community Shield, whatever it is, against Leicester, they just struggled to score. There was just no, there's not one person you can pick at as an attacking threat. Last season, Gundogan, however you want to say it, he was their top scorer or something, I believe. And I think they have to try and rely on Ferran Torres. But if he's not firing, then I really don't know where their striker's going to come from unless they do something in the remainder of the transfer window. But I think overall their squad is just absolutely phenomenal. So I think they will get that first place spot. But it is also not, it wouldn't surprise me if someone like Chelsea or United actually did manage to sneak the title just by a point or so, because they have that attacking threat that Man City might be lacking this season.
Very well. Wow. Champions for me. I also have Man City. You make a very good point about the striker. Obviously, they lost Aguero. I mean, he was also out for pretty much the whole season last season. But again, it looks like Harry Kane. It seems they're set on Harry Kane for some reason. They're not looking at anyone else. They got Grealish in. Again, like you said, I don't think he was a needed signing. I mean, they've made it. Seems more like a statement signing than necessarily out of necessity.
Yeah.
But they got him in. I'm sure it'll be great for them if he gets a playtime. I mean, if they get a striker, then I think the title is theirs to lose. As it stands, I mean, like I said, it'll be very, very close. And again, like you said, I won't be surprised if Chelsea, Liverpool, or United beat them to the title. But if City get a striker in, then I think it's theirs to lose.
Definitely. So that is our 2021-22 Premier League table prediction before the season starts. It's going to be a very interesting season for sure, with the newly promoted teams and seeing how these new signings affect the teams throughout the season. Thank you very much for watching or listening to our first video on the channel. If you liked what you heard, then please consider subscribing. It would make me and Shift very happy people.
Indeed. Very, very happy. I'm so happy. Just thinking about it. Thinking about it.
Me
I'm
too. So yeah, have a great day, and we'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.
Bye. Bye-bye.
See ya.